everyone. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans live Q&A.
Look at this.
Blake's got his...
Oh, I'm sorry. I had my big red kingdom hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
So, hello, everybody. Again, another live Q&A. We have most of our usual suspects tonight. We are a team member down. Jackie is not with us tonight, but we do have Stephanie, Blake, and Ashley here with us. So we'll get those questions, get those in the comment section so we can start getting those out. A couple of administrative notes first off. Again, Facebook group, join that group. Steph has taken a lot of time to put a lot of links and files, kind of stuff in there that are you can have access to, so you have to go searching for them. A lot of good information there. And then obviously anything we don't get to tonight, or if you have further questions or we need more information, this is always a good email for us. Stephanie will get it. And if she needs to reach out to Ashley, Blake, or Jackie, we'll do that. And then she'll get back to you with an answer. So here we are, guys.
And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, subscribe to that page for sure so you get updates. And we're going to talk about another video we have coming out here a little bit later in the show. So let us know where you're from. We're going to wait a little bit here, get some more questions, get some more people on, and then we'll get started.
I'm going to go ahead and read our wonderful disclaimer here for everybody. Just so everybody knows, when we kick it off for the live Q&A, we're here, guys, just to answer your questions as best as we can. We don't claim to know everything, and we may say something that may not be accurate, but we're here to help the best we can because we're all veterans at the end of the day. The disclaimer, VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans is not an accredited agent, VSO, attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we're not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance and purposes and should not be considered medical or legal advice. So, like I said, we're here to help, guys. My next video is kind of going to be a piece that Blake took a lot of time to put together. It's in our Facebook group. It's regarding IMOs, independent medical opinions, and Nexus. Be sure to check out that file in the group. He gives a great distinction between correlation and causation. And so I'm going to do my next video off of that. And then I've got a piece at the end that's a little bit alarming about what's going on with some of the doctors out there. So you'll have to stick around towards the end of that video, but that will be our next one that we're putting out here, hopefully in like the next week.
Yeah. All right. Not VA doctors either.
Huh? No.
Yeah.
No, this is the paid for doctors, but it'll be
right.
It'll be a good piece, a good video that I'll put out there for you guys. And like I said, Blake took a long time to put this together. So be sure to check that out in the Facebook group.
Yeah, Blake did put we all put our time in, to help everybody out. But yes. Blake really did a lot of work on this. And then, like I said, Steph mentioned that list. It's going to be kind of alarming. I don't say alarming. It's good to know for all these kind of doctors out there that provide Nexus letters. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that.
Let me give a shout out. Hi, Peter. Thanks for joining. I know we've been talking. And
oh, she left us. Hey.
I must have hit some mistake. Sorry, that was me.
Steph's clicking buttons again.
Yep. Well, actually, I must have I'm sorry. Anyways, hi, Matthew, again. And hi, Pete, again. And everyone for joining. We do appreciate it.
We got Kevin Trotter. He's from Florida. He's in Florida here. That's nice. Jacksonville,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to touch anything now.
Yeah, don't touch anything.
Florida, man.
Yeah, we got upstate New York.
Oh, upstate New York. Yes, that's Peter. Welcome, Peter. We've been chatting. Yep. We're getting some people here from the Facebook group and over from Reddit. That's a real good channel for veterans as well. So it's a good avenue.
All right. Well, I got some stuff started, so I'll bow out and you guys can get to doing what we need to do.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, so the first question is from Mr. Kevin Trotter. So I have a 90% rating for a bilateral eye disease. I filed a TDIU claim on January 30th of 2022. I haven't worked since June of 2022. Is being out of work since June enough to qualify for a TDIU?
So yes, you qualify based on if the service-connected disability is preventing you from being gainfully employed, Kevin. So that's the key. The TDIU that you're filing is obviously for a disability associated to you not being able to be gainfully employed. It doesn't matter if you've been out 1 day, 1 week. It's best to not be working when you file for TDIU, also known as IU. But no, that has no I guess it doesn't have any factor regarding how long you've been out of employment. The key things too to remember, Kevin, is to make sure that you filled out the proper form. I think it's the VA. Oh, it's the 8940, and then sent the other one to your employers, the VA 21-4192. So make sure you sent those to your former employers, Kevin, that one right there on the screen. And don't fret if they don't fill it out, because typically employers won't, but the VA will still have the duty to assist to attempt to get it filled for you. But no, you being out since June is not going to have a factor. It's going to be the disability that's causing you to be gainfully unemployed. Blake, Ashley, anybody?
I was going to agree. It looks better if you say you can't work and you're working, then that's a problem. But you got a good 6-8 months under your belt of not working. That, as long as it's your eyes that is preventing you. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that you're a sharpshooter with the police force, and that's keeping you from doing your job because you can't see. That's going to keep you from doing the job. Or if you're driving a forklift and you can't see because you can't see where to drive, that's going to prevent you from doing your job.
Yeah, and Kevin, I just did recently, my last video is on TDIU, IU. You should really take a look at that, because I talk about the difference of marginal, gainful, and shelter employment. So there's really some good information in there on that video to kind of help you through this process while you're going through this claim. And whatever the disability is, you're most likely going to have a CMP exam for the TDIU associated to that disability that you're claiming is making you unable to be substantially gainfully employed. So be sure to check that video out. All right.
I'm sorry, guys. My computer's lagging here. I'm trying to get that video up. I'll post those in the comments.
Okay.
Let's see here. I got it here real quick. Sorry, my...
Okay, Kevin said he did both of them. Okay, that's good, Kevin. All right, so you did yours and you sent yours to your employers, so that's good.
All right, so here's a link to that video, Kevin.
And while you're doing that, John says he's warming up. It's a solid 15 degrees.
Oh, up there in Minnesota?
Burr.
Yeah, Burr.
Yeah.
Hey, guy on the couch is here. I love him. I love that name.
I try to keep typing to him. It's a lot to type.
I love it.
Okay, so this one's from Lana C. Will VA change the disability name if they diagnosed you with PTSD during CMP, but you filed for depression,
I'm
assuming depression, anxiety, and insomnia? Do you need to file a claim for PTSD and forget about the depression?
So I'm assuming, Lana, you filed for depression, anxiety, and insomnia. And are you indicating that you got diagnosed during the CMP exam for PTSD? Because PTSD is a completely different claim when it comes to mental health. It has a lot more requirements. It has forms required, and it has a lot more steps. So
You actually have to almost have a Sentinel event listed, event or events that cause it. There was an additional part of her question on below that she completed a DBQ for PTSD during
she said that.
the exam. Can this DBQ be used for a new claim for PTSD? Well, the whole issue here is that right now you've got 4 things listed as mental health, and you're only going to get rated for one of them.
Right.
The VA may have decided that. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
The VA may have decided that PTSD was the highest rating for you, because they will always try to do that. The depression, anxiety, and insomnia are all going to be components of that, because there is a lot of overlap in symptomology between most of the mental health disorders.
But my also question, Lana, if the PTSD is due to the personal trauma, sexual harassment, or sexual assault, there's a particular form that you said the DBQ got filled out. So it makes it sound like the CMP examiner saw something that's leading down the path to PTSD versus depression, anxiety that you must have originally filed for. So and if I'm correct, I wish Jackie was here tonight. I think they can infer the PTSD. If they see it, they can infer it and go ahead and continue the claim for the PTSD if that's where the CMP examiner is seeing it. Because the other thing too is the CMP examiner is the one that diagnoses and confirms. You can have a diagnosis from your private physician or from your private doctor, but the CMP examiner for PTSD has to diagnose and confirm in order for you to get rated for PTSD.
And it's one of those situations where you may have gotten lucky, and the CMP examiner was one of those individuals who is allowed to diagnose PTSD, and they saw that. Rather
it has to be a psychiatrist.
Right, it has to be a psychiatrist.
Yep.
And as far as changing your diagnosis, I filed for insomnia and ended up with a rating for anxiety.
So just to recap for you, Lana, yes, the CMP examiner can change it during the exam, and yes, the VA can infer it and keep going forward with the exam and actually change it for you to PTSD. So hopefully it sounds like you have a good examiner.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, the VA, if they do change it, typically changes it to something that you can be rated higher for than the others.
It's yes. Mental health is 0 to 100%, but yes, it absolutely. Yep. Correct.
Okay, so this next question is from LG. I currently have 50% for flat feet and was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. Fasciitis. Will it be combined or a separate rating? Thank you.
Those are 2 separate ratings. You can have flat feet and you can have plantar fasciitis. So the answer is yes.
Now the question is,
yes. I'm going to pull that up too.
I believe he's going to have to, the plantar fasciitis would probably be rated secondary to the flat feet.
Oh, gosh.
Particularly if there's a large period of time between the time he got out and the time he claimed, because plantar fasciitis can be.
And you're the medical doctor. Which one causes which? Is it?
The flat feet will cause the plantar fasciitis. And
that's how, okay. I'm wondering, did he file it secondary?
He didn't say that he filed it secondary, but that's more than likely the way it needs to be filed to get it rated. To get it rated or get it service connected.
So LG, I'm just curious if you can plug us in. If you filed it, how did you file it? Did you file it secondary or did you file it primary? because, and I know that the flat feet of 50, because I'm looking at the ratings, that's pronounced. So that's the highest rating for flat feet. So, and then the pes planus, which is pes planus, and then the plantar fasciitis. I guess I could show this, but I've lost my stream.
And
The plantar.
Stephanie, my question would be, if he did not file it secondary to the flat feet,
Mm-hmm.
can he go in and have it changed to that?
Could he?
Yes.
Well, if he did not file it secondary and he's filed it primary, then yes, he can. You can submit a VA 21-4138. Oh, wait a minute. He's saying something. Also, I'm in IDES process and was diagnosed with bilateral carpal tunnel and cubital tunnel in my right. Oh, that's a totally different thing. Okay, hold on.
That's in the arm.
Yeah, that's the arm. So the question, LG, are you still active duty? Because that makes me question, but he's rated 50% for flat feet. So that's when he said itis or a reservist. Also, itis process was diagnosed with. So he's got a couple of things going on here. Yeah, I'm a little uncertain where you are with this in the process.
If he's in the IDES stage, then doesn't that mean he's still active, or at least on his way out?
Yeah, well, that's what makes me believe it, because normally that happens with reservists and active duty. So, but the answer, going back to recapping, yes, you can file for it. But as Blake says, it should be secondary. If you filed it primary, as I was stating, you can file a VA 21-4138, stating that it's going to be a secondary condition to your currently rated condition of flat feet.
He's been in the National Guard since 2001.
That's what I thought. Okay. So you're in the National Guard. So that's a completely different thing too. You got to have LODs. So do you have LODs for these injuries? That's line of duty. So those are other things that you got to make sure that you have as well. But you know what, LG, to recap, Chris, why don't you shoot up our email? Why don't you go ahead and email myself at this email address, and Blake and I will get in, send us everything you're trying to ask and accomplish. Send it to that email. And then I'll make sure Blake answers it on the medical side, and I'll get Jackie involved on the VA side to help you as well. Because it seems like you've got quite a few things going on. And we could.
He said he complained about them during his 2 deployments.
I complained about. Okay, so complaint and an LOD are 2 different things. I'm glad that you complained about it. So I'm hoping it's an LOD, because that's what you really need for that. But like I said,
at least in your active duty medical record.
Yeah. But go ahead, email me. Maybe we can even set up a consult, and we'll help you out. No worries, LG. Just we'll make sure we get with you, because it sounds like you got a lot going on there. All right. Where'd Andy go?
Back to bed. So this one is from Mr. John. So Stephanie, we chatted privately in Reddit. I filed for my first time in 2 decades. When I filed for PTSD with OSA as a secondary right away. Can you file for a primary and a secondary right away?
Absolutely. Yes. Whether you're service connected or not, yes, you can file for it. Whether you're going to get it, especially with sleep, that OSA is sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
And
they will defer the OSA until the PTSD is determined, and then they will consider your secondary. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. You can always file a primary and a secondary, even if the primary is not rated. But yes, they have to you obviously have to have the primary rated before you can get the secondary. So they will defer development of the secondary while they're at least finalizing the PTSD. So once you get the PTSD rating at the same time, they'll look at the secondary. But if you didn't get PTSD, let's say you got denied, then there's no reason for them to move forward to look at the secondary. So just to recap, yes, absolutely. You can file a primary and a secondary at the same time.
Okay, our next question is from the Crypto Don. So VES sent me to 2 CMP exams for the same thing, but no need to interview. Is that normal? I did submit my Nexus. DBQ filed migraine secondary to tinnitus in October.
So when you say you went to 2 CMP exams for the same thing, but no need to interview, was that an ACE review, Don? That's what I want to know. When you say no interview, did they just do a CMP exam?
That's the Crypto Don.
That's the Crypto Don. Okay.
That's a great name. The
I
Crypto
like
Don.
the Crypto Don. Because I'm wondering if maybe that's what you're referring to, the Crypto Don. You said you had 2 CMP exams for the migraine secondary to tinnitus. So I need a little bit more information. So
the VES sent me to 2
Right.
exams for
Is
the
that
same
normal?
thing.
Well, yes, it is normal. You can go to 2 CMP exams for the same thing because the first one may not have had enough information, Crypto Don. So you might have had to go back to another one, but you said no interview. So that I don't know. Well, did you go to an in-person exam twice, or did you go to one in-person exam and then one was an ACE review? That's my question. Or did you go to 2 exams in person for the migraine secondary to tinnitus? Because I'm sure, Blake, if that's the case, they might have been missing some medical
Right. There may-
opinion on the migraine secondary to tinnitus. So
did he have a nexus or?
there it is. That's what I thought. Okay. Now I have a little bit more information. That's an ACE review. That's when the medical examiner is going to review the records only, and you're not needed, meaning you're not needed in person. So
There-
it sounds like the rater is looking for something and asking a question of the medical examiner.
Most times for migraines, there is really not a physical exam that's needed for them. It is all based off of history and what you tell them.
Yeah.
It's all
So that-
subjective.
But him having one exam and then now having the exam behind it makes me believe that the first exam's missing something for the
Right.
rater. So that's the rater has sent it back most likely to the same examiner.
They didn't fill out all 27,000 questions on the DBQ.
Right. No exam. They said they had okay. So that's what it's sounding like, Crypto Don, is that basically you had the first exam. There's missing some information. The raters reached out to the examiner to give them some additional information. And that's what I called an ACE review. That's when you're not needed in person. So sounds like things are moving along for you. And it sounds like you actually might have a good rater doing their job and trying to make sure that they've got all the right information before they make the decision on your migraine secondary to tinnitus. All right.
Okay, this next one is from Peter KNYK. So I mentioned to you, Stephanie, about being on NYS disability since 2003, and the VA can't figure out that I'm really disabled. Is this something veterans go through, unfortunately, too often?
So you've been on disability with the state since 2003, and the VA can't figure out why.
I think this is a situation very similar to Social Security when they ask about, can I be 100% disabled with the VA, and will Social Security count that? And I think they're 2 entirely different entities, and neither of the 2 shall cross.
Right.
The requirements for New York State disability may be entirely different from the VA disability in this case.
And keep in mind, your VA disabilities are due to service, injuries, illnesses, secondaries due to primaries. So like what Blake's saying, while a veteran might be 100% PNT with the VA, they're not disabled in the eyes of SSA for SSDI. So I've been to 3 CM. Go ahead, Ash.
So he said I've been to 3 CMP exams for the same thing. The first exam was so harsh, I ended up in the ER the next day. Oh, no.
Is that mental health?
What were the exams? What conditions were the exams for? With the
Yeah, can you tell us that? And while we're waiting for that real quick, Crypto Don put down there, you should add a tip button for your YouTube page. You're awesome. I appreciate that. But until I get, I think it's 4,000 views or hours or something. Chris, you want to jump in here? I don't think we're we can't get like a little donation button or something like that. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So we're trying to be on the up and up here, and there might be some conflicts with people that we have on our team. So we ask that we have it links on the videos that Stephanie puts out that you can donate to. We don't like to put it on here because we don't want to have any conflict with any of our team members. So
Right.
if you go to any of our YouTube videos, in the description, there will be places that you can donate. All the donations are obviously just to keep up with our software, our equipment, things like that. We're starting to do shirt giveaways again. So the donations will go to pay for the shirt, things like that. So we just don't want to cross any lines. So go to our YouTube videos. In the description, you will see those links for Venmo and PayPal and all that other stuff. And please do it that way. And we really appreciate it. That'd be great.
We do. And Crypto Don, if you want to email and ask for that email.
Yeah, we can email you that stuff as well if you want it.
I can do that. All right, thanks. So back to Peter. So, okay, Peter. So
it was for MST.
Yeah. So you've had 3 CMP exams for a very sensitive situation. I know I've been through it myself. But I'm trying to figure out, have the 3 exams been back to back to back, or you filed, got denied, and filed and got denied? I know it's frustrating, but for MST, they all.
Steph, maybe we can just do that by email. Some of that stuff gets a little sensitive. So
yeah, and that's what I was gonna explain. But just so you know, Peter, that PTSD due to MST goes to one regional office where they're all handled there on a sensitive case and matter. And I agree with Chris. Why don't you go ahead and email me, Peter, at that email address, and we can talk more in depth along with myself, and then I can get several others involved, and we can find out what's going on for you and see if we can give you some guidance, because I want you to get what you deserve and get rated. So please reach out.
All right, Ashley, this is a 3-parter, so be ready, okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, so this one's from Daryl L. How do we file for clothing allowance for certain disability I have? I have hemorrhoids.
Okay.
But I don't see my meds on this list.
Then you don't qualify. The cream medication has to be a yes on the list. So if it's not a yes, then it does not qualify for clothing allowance.
Yeah, and neither one of mine was approved.
None of my creams are approved either for my skin either, Daryl. So the creams are very touchy situation when it comes to the clothing allowance. And if many of the listeners are listening right now, clothing allowance, again, is the video on my YouTube. You file it once a year, and it's either for devices or creams that destroy your clothes. So you keep that in mind. If it's like I have ankle braces I wear, so I get 2 clothing allowances a year. Like Daryl was just asking about his cream. There's certain creams on the list. If they say yes, then you can file for it.
They stain clothing.
Stain clothing. Yep, that's the word I was looking for. So stain or tear or ruin your clothing, then you can get clothing allowance. And but like I said, I have a video on that, and you can file by August 1st of every year. But no, unfortunately, Daryl, if it's not on the list as a yes, it's a big no. And you're welcome, Peter. We'll take care of you. Just email me.
Okay, this next one is from Mick Williams. Can pause cavus cause plantar fasciitis?
Blake?
So it's flat feet night.
Yeah, it's flat feet night.
It's PEZ, cavus, and it That is the Latin name for flat feet.
Flat feet cause. So is that correct
flat-
or is it the opposite?
Flat feet does cause plantar fasciitis.
I always get that mixed up, but the opposite isn't correct.
Correct. Plantar fasciitis is just a inflammation of the fascia, which is, it's kind of gross to say this, but if you ever look at a roast, that silver skin that you peel off of a roast,
Yeah.
that is the fascia.
Okay.
That is on your muscles have that. And when the arch of the foot collapses, it causes that to be,
Okay.
it can cause it to be inflamed. And that's why we give people arch supports and those kind of things, is try to prevent that.
Okay. All right. So the pes cavus is flat feet.
Yes.
Learn something new.
Okay. So, okay, hold on a second, because this says pes planus.
Can be pes planus. Pes cavus is
Okay.
is also, it's, well, cavus is it isn't not flat. It's more
High
of a
arch.
higher arch.
Yeah. Oh, he just said it too. High arch.
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer to his question is yes, it can. So you just need to get your medical
Either
records.
it's too high or too low can cause
Yep.
plantar fasciitis.
And get your doctor to confirm it and show the causation and then file your claim, Mick. All right. Next.
Okay, this one is from Mr. Dennis. So I've never spoke to anyone about my mental issues. Would it be best to get started at a VA clinic or to see a private psychiatrist? I just don't know if I should trust the VA.
Well, that's a personal choice, Dennis. I understand. I don't know if you've dealt with the VA or not, but like for myself and Chris, we only have the VA. So it's not an option for us to go out to the private world, but we've had great care. You can go to either or. If you have the way and ability to see a private psychiatrist, you absolutely can see a private psychiatrist. If you want to give the VA a shot, you can go through your primary and get set up for your mental health. But I wouldn't, if you're going based off of, hearsay and stuff, I would maybe try to give it your own spin and see how it works for you first with the VA. It is a lot easier if you're seeing the VA doctors when you go to file a claim, because all your stuff's there. You don't have to go get your private records, get them uploaded, because when you go to file a claim, the benefit side can retrieve the healthcare side records a lot quicker than asking you for your private. But I mean, I think it's a personal choice. What do you guys think?
I think it's a personal choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to piggyback on that. I see a psychiatrist and a psychologist once a month, and I've actually been through 5 psychiatrists and about 6 or 7 psychologists. So if you don't like them, I mean, you can request for a new one.
As a provider here in Kansas City, I've worked in every hospital in town and know every provider. I don't know every provider, but I know a vast number of them, at least in every specialty. And I choose the VA for my health care. I am overinsured. I have TRICARE. I have Medicare. I have VA health care, and I use the VA.
All right.
And-
So
and
one thing
Guy-
I wanted to say on this is that if you go outside, it's your responsibility to get those records
Yeah.
to the VA. So if you go outside, that's fine, but you have to do some legwork on that end to get all the notes to
Yep.
get into your VA folder so they can review those when it comes time for claims.
And
And
it's very costly.
And Guy on the couch made an excellent point too. If you have to go out into the community because you're too far away from the VA, then they will send you out in the community to see a doctor. And that is where the VA will take care of everything for you regarding your sessions and bills. It's a little harder. I go out to the community for a lot of other things. But again, just to recap, it's really a personal decision. You're going to have to kind of make that decision based on the doctor. You might go through a couple doctors. I went through a couple before I found mine. So
I'm on my 4th psychologist, and it is somebody out in the community that I was sent to through community care because the VA doesn't provide the type of counseling I need.
And just so you all know, this is how we do it. We just fly by the seat of our pants. We've got little Andy behind Ashley right now. That's her son. So we're just one big happy family here trying to help veterans. So
This one is from Luigi. Could migraines be secondary to PTSD?
Blake?
They can.
Yes, they can.
They can. You are going to have a very strong nexus that not only shows correlation, but causation. You're going to have your documentation and ducks in a row that whether it's your migraine log, that, some triggering event causes your migraines, and that triggering event has to be connected to something that has caused your PTSD, whether that's when I go out in a crowd and, or I hear an engine backfire, those type of things. You have to have a trigger for you. Now, if you go out and get a paid nexus or independent medical exam, oftentimes they will fill it full of pages of studies and articles. Those all show correlation. It just says that 15% of veterans with PTSD have migraines.
Right.
Which may be 5% more than what people with PTSD in the general population have. Well, that's the correlation. That's how they're related. It doesn't necessarily mean that you fall into that 15%.
And as Blake said, and as I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm going to be doing my next video on IMOs and Nexus. And we have seen quite a few paid for Nexus that have done absolutely nothing or garbage. So, and this is where I'm going to also point out, you don't need to go out and pay for a IMO, an independent medical opinion Nexus letter. You can simply get your doctor to even state notes in your record. You don't have to go to your doctor saying, look, I need a medical opinion, or just have them state in your medical records the causation of the migraines. If that's in your medical records, guys, all you got to do is fill out a VA 21-4138, give your statement, show your medical records, and submit that to the rater. Jackie will tell you this all the time, and unfortunately she is out tonight because she's not feeling well, that goes a long ways by just having it in your medical records. And again, to recap, the answer to your question is yes, migraines can be secondary to PTSD. There's a lot of legwork. There's a lot of things you need to do. My other recommendation, get an intent to file right now and secure that 1 year for you to file this claim. And it's an ITF VA 21-0966. Just go online, put it there. You've got it for a year. Go do what you need to do, and you can file that claim or any claims, but you file them all at once within that 1 year, and it preserves your effective date. So I hope that helps. Guy on a couch.
This one's from Guy on a Couch. So you were talking about flat feet. Does pes cavus or pes planus fall under flat foot?
Plantus is actually flat foot. Cavus is a high arch.
Yeah.
If you think about it, cavus is cavernous, like a cave. Plantus is planted like in the ground.
I thought I had so is that clawfoot? Look at what I'm showing. Is
that's a clawfoot, or
yes?
Yes, because see, if you look at the toes are also curled up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a combination of pes cavus and hammer toes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, because that's a little confusing. All right, but so the answer to the question is yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Joe. So currently rated 50% combined. I have 10% service connection for degenerative changes, arthritis and ankle due to pain, gain of walk. I now have stage 4 OA in both knees. Can I get secondary on my knees? Yes. I would say yes. The radiculopathy.
Well, I think he's trying to get his knees secondary to his ankles. Is that how you guys are reading this? Can I get secondary on my knees?
Arthritis and ankle.
Is that how you're reading it, Blake?
Um,
I have 10% service. He's saying he has 10% service. So he's service connected for ankles. And now he's got a bad walk gait. So he's saying the ankles. And didn't we talk about this, about the house?
right.
Right?
Those can definitely be related to your ankles. When we talk about bad joints, in particular, think about your body as a house. If something goes wrong on the first floor, it affects everything up and above it. It doesn't affect the foundation.
Right.
The lower down your service connected issues are, the more likely you're going to be able to connect those higher issues.
So the answer is yes. You can certainly file for them secondary. And again, you've got to have the medical records to support it, the causation, showing the causation, and file the claim. And again, I'm going to say this for everyone listening. If you're thinking of filing any claims and you're just not there with the evidence, don't rush to file the claim. Just submit that ITF. Let it sit there for a year. I know a year sounds like forever, but you'd rather do it right the first time than the denials after denials after denials, and then going to the judge. And so, like I'm going to say, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but that's like my favorite go-to. Just file the ITF and let it sit there and get all your evidence.
Let it mature.
Huh?
Let it mature or ripen before, you're more likely to get denied if you just jump in there and throw anything against the wall, trying to hoping that something will stick. Do your research, know what you need to have.
Yes.
Okay, this next one is from FRM Above Outdoors. So I've applied for TDIU in July. I'm currently in PFD. I'm rated 70% for anxiety, 50% for migraines, and have a combined rating of 90%. Do I have a good chance for having it approved? I'm just nervous.
So, I mean, we're not fortune tellers, but I mean, if you, again, are not able to substantially be gainfully employed for your mental health and or migraines, because I'm assuming that's what you filed for your unemployability, was based on those two disabilities, and you can prove to the VA that you are unemployable because of those disabilities, you absolutely can be rated for IU. But keep in mind that when you are rated for TDIU, IU, you're being paid at 100%. You have income restrictions. I have a great video that I just dropped a couple weeks ago on this subject. So just keep that in mind, because you cannot work above the federal poverty level, which is around that 14 to 15,000 annually. So just again, you're going to get paid at 100%. You're going to retain your 90% overall.
And Stephanie, we often say the $14,000 annually, but in reality, if you divide that $14,000 out by 12,
right,
and 1 month you make $10,000, they're going to take it away from you.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
They look at it because what they look at is the
Income?
VA looks at your quarterly payments into Social Security.
Well, I do know if you're on TDIU, IU, they pull SSA records annually. That I do know. So keep that in mind as well.
They also look at it. They also get reported quarterly also.
So keep that in mind. But yes, so you've been unemployed for 2 years. So I mean, it's if it's obviously that you've been unemployed because of those disabilities, and you can prove that. Just to recap,
And to prove it, just check with your, get a statement from your last employer that you missed 10 days a month for migraines.
Well, he's in PFD, so he's in preparation for decision.
Okay.
So he's in the long run now. He's in it to win it now. So keep us updated. Let us know how that works out. Love to hear back.
All right, guys. So intent to files come up a couple of times, and I thought it was a good question by the Crypto Don. Can you have an ITF? Let's see. While you have an open claim, I thought that was a good question.
Yes, if you have an open claim, you can immediately go and file an ITF and let it sit. But do not file anything, because if you file and you have claims pending, they'll all be combined. So yes, the answer is yes. You can have an ITF in place while you have pending claims.
Okay, so this next one is from Mr. John. Another question for my PTSD. It wasn't in an exchange of gunfire. I was attacked during a massive prison riot, hit from behind from a prisoner, and he has not been right since.
That's a fear stressor. That's traumatic. That could
that's a trigger.
Yeah, that's a trigger.
That's a sentinel event.
Yep, that's an event. It does not have to be from gunfire or anything. That's a triggered event. That's a stressor. That's a fear. If you're still having issues with it to this day, absolutely. And you would just go ahead and file for the PTSD claim for it. Again, having the medical records, to support it, or the event. Another thing is, if that event was actually logged or something, that helps too. You said it was a prison riot, so I don't know if, whatever
They're
happened.
logged.
Maybe.
They're logged, believe me.
Yeah. To get that log would be great too. Buddy statements around that situation would be good too. So anything like that. So yes, absolutely. The answer is yes.
Okay, this next one is from Big Dog in the Philippines. Hello, do I need a current diagnosis if my presumptive appear on the PACT Act list?
Yes, you still need a current diagnosis. Correct. Just so keep in mind, the PACT Act that just passed is presumptive. The VA is conceding that it's due to that area where you were, but you still need a current diagnosis for it. So yes, you do need a current diagnosis. Well, we're rolling through some of these.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so back to the FRM above outdoors. So I'm currently rated 90%. We did.
We already answered this one. Whoopsie. There we go.
Okay, this one's from Mr. Jeff B. So I just had an x-ray which shows ILD, possibly from my time in Iraq during the Gulf and burn pits, history of sinus and upper respiratory infections. Can I file all under the PACT Act?
Blake, what's ILD?
That's what I was trying to figure out. X-ray of what? Chest, I'm assuming.
What is it? Now I want to look up ILD.
Interstitial lung disease. Yes, that does fall under a presumptive under lung issues, breathing issues.
For the burn pits. And is it under the PACT Act one for the?
More than likely it is under PACT. I don't know for a fact. If Jackie was here, she could tell us.
Yeah,
for sure. But
I know lung is under the PACT Act.
Yeah, it's under the PACT Act because of burn pits.
So yes, the answer is yes, but you would need a current diagnosis and then file it as presumptive per the PACT Act.
Yeah, and the interstitial lung disease, I believe, falls under in that PACT Act, because basically that is where you've gotten crap in your lungs and it's stuck together, and so that I'm going to go out on a limb and say that is probably part of it, but we can
And
find
the respiratory also has pyramiding too. There's things with the
Right.
respiratory where you like if you have sleep apnea and asthma, you can't be rated both. Just for an example, you would get rated based on the higher of the two. You still have them, but you couldn't be rated for both because it's pyramiding under the respiratory.
interstitial lung disease would probably fall under that pyramid also.
He says his life expectancy is 3 to 5 years.
Here's my take on life expectancies on some diseases. Nobody has seen a expiration date stamped on the bottom of your foot. So those are often hard to diagnose, probably, or to be accurate. Probably the most famous one of those is Steve Jobs, who had pancreatic cancer. The 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is 0%, and he lived for 9.5 years with it. So,
man, Jeff, I wish you the best. Keep us updated on that. And if you have any further questions, Jeff, feel free to email us at the email on the screen there. And if you need some more medical questions answered, Blake, be happy to. And I can always get with Jackie as well and get her thought on it as well. So yeah, man, that's cool. Awesome.
So just to piggyback on this, John was asking about the prison riot. He said there was no log. Okay, but a buddy statement would, or people he worked with would help, right?
Correct.
So is that a lay and witness statement?
Correct.
Okay,
He said there was also a newspaper article about it.
That helps too.
That helps.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of curiosity, where was the prison?
Yeah, where was the prison? Now I'm curious.
Because I know the procedure at Leavenworth because I was stationed at Leavenworth, not in Leavenworth. There's a big difference.
Haiti.
Haiti. Yeah,
okay.
Haiti. You don't know anything about Haiti, Blake?
No, I didn't know we had military prisons in Haiti.
Well,
Didn't know there was one, yeah.
So to recap for you, John, yes, use the buddy statement.
Prince.
Yeah, use the buddy statement. Use the news article. Go ahead and get your treatment if you're getting your treatment, and then file for the PTSD, filling out the form for PTSD, which would be, I think it would be actually the VA 21-0781 because there's no MST harassment or anything like that. So yeah, I definitely gather all that evidence and submit it for sure.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Jim Maribot. So if I'm 90% with TDIU, what is the pro or con of trying to get 100% rating? My 90% conditions are static.
This is what I was talking about pre-show. This is the gentleman pre-show. And my thought processes on this, Jim, is a couple things. I think you need to email me. If Chris, you could pop the email up. I think you need to email me on this because I know what we talked about, and I'm not sure you want me to quite share all of it here. But email me on this because I need to know your overall 90. If you're rounded down or rounded up to 90 is a big difference. The other difference too is TDIU is paid for somebody who's unable to work. Are you now trying to work and therefore you're trying to get to 100% so that you can remove the TDIU? That's just something that's popping up in my head.
Said it's rounded up. Yeah.
It's rounded. Okay. So just going off that information right there, unless you have about 50 to 70% of ratings, that's an additional.
The only other bonus of getting to the 100% is if you're filing for something that you could die from, and your family could collect DIC from.
You know, I'm gonna pull the trigger on this one. I'm gonna say leave it alone.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I'm
gonna say leave it alone, Jim, because you're getting paid at 100%. All your disabilities are static right now. You are not, like, if you were 94 or 93 all right, well, let's see, like Blake said, is there something that maybe you're missing that you could be filing for that might potentially leave a surviving spouse or somebody benefits after your death? But I'm gonna go with I would leave this one alone. I think you would probably be opening up a whole big can of worms. And keep in mind this too, Jim, that even though it's static, and I'm going to tell this to all veterans that are listening, that does not protect your ratings. Okay, that just means you do not need any future exams. But if you file claims or anything comes up, you can be looked at again. You're only protected under the 5, 10, and 20 protected rule ratings. So please keep that, guys. Please keep that in mind. But that's my thought process, Jim, is to just leave it alone. Yeah, he says I don't want to rock that. Yeah, I agree, Jim. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got another question.
Okay, this next one is from Miss Elizabeth Baisley. I filed for my hip pain 5 years ago and was denied. Never appealed. I have new evidence, so would I file it as a new claim?
You would file it, Elizabeth, as a supplemental claim to reopen a previously denied claim with the new evidence.
And
So
your effective date will be when you file the supplemental claim. It will not go back and back pay to your 5 years.
right, because you lapsed the 1 year to appeal since it's been over 5 years. But yes, if you have new evidence to now support, and I guess my question too is your hips rated and this is an increase that you were denied, or you were never granted it? But in any event, you would file a supplemental with the new evidence to support reopening this disability. You're welcome. All right, next question.
Okay, so back to Mr. Jim Maribot. So
Okay.
CMP exam for sinitis and rhinitis. Doctor stated my condition was from burn pits, but the location I was at is not on the PACT Act list. So my claim was denied. I am diagnosed and had sinus surgery.
Are you in the burn pit registry?
Yeah.
Have you gone through that?
That would be my one question too. But can you pop that question back up, Chris? His doctor's saying it's due to burn pits, but he was never exposed to the burn pits? Because he's saying the PACT Act list.
PACT Act has locations on it.
Yeah. So Jim, one, where were you at that your assumption is of the burn pits? And two,
Mommy, I want you.
what was your question?
I want
Your
you.
question, Blake, it was
hey, the PACT Act just extended some other locations. There were other locations that
but
were
Diego
out there.
Garcia. He's got Diego Garcia, and that's not one of them.
Yeah.
That's not a burn pit. So I don't know why the doctor would have said the burn pit. Do you have, I guess at this
What
point.
were you exposed to at Diego Garcia that would have caused this?
Yeah. Because the doctor's mistaken about the burn. He's associating it to the burn pits, but that's not the burn pit presumptive areas. So for Diego Garcia, you would have to basically have in service. They burn trash 24/7. I mean, you could, if you could prove what was going on while that was happening in the particular time frame that you were there. Again, this goes to buddy statements. This goes to your doctor stating you have it. Your doctor stating it's due to service. You could definitely file for it, Jim. But it's definitely, I would not go the burn pit route because it'll automatically be denied.
And burn pits weren't just trash. There were a lot of chemicals that were at those installations that were burned. A lot of places incinerate trash. in New York City, a lot of the old apartment buildings had incinerators in them, and that's where all the garbage in the building went.
Yeah.
By that mindset, then everybody with sinusitis and rhinitis in parts of New York would be compensatable from the owners of that building.
Right.
So-
But also, I guess I'm curious, Jim, are you still contemplating trying to file new claims? Because I thought you wanted to leave it alone because you're TDIU. So
I thought that's a different person.
no, this is the same gentleman. That's Jim Marble.
Yeah.
He's the one that's 90%, but getting paid TDIU. I honestly, I wouldn't. Again, I'm going back to.
I wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't touch it. I just leave it alone because it's not something that's life threatening to you. But if you want to file for it, then that is up to you, obviously. But you'd need a lot of evidence to support it because it's not a burn pit.
So, Steph, what about what happens when they file for an increase or file for a new claim? Does that open up everything else to be looked at as well?
It can.
It can if so. Let's say for instance you're going to open up and file a claim to increase your mental health. Well, if there's something associated to it, the rater may get a hair up as you know what and want to look.
Well, I'm saying in this case, like say he goes for a burn pit thing, that's still they're going to look at all those other stuff too, correct?
Well, not necessarily because first of all, it's not a burn pit thing, so we've got to get that out
Right.
of the
I mean, that's
equation.
right.
If he files for cyanitis and rhinitis, no, they're not going to look at his other disabilities that typically aren't associated to it, but they could.
Correct.
So, I mean, there's always that possibility.
That's the thing. You're on 90%, you're TDIU, and you want to open up that can of worms of them starting to poke around at things that don't need to be looked at.
And there's a lot of veterans that are 100% guys that are out there that file for SMC pay, and it comes back to bite them in the butt because
it reduces their overall.
Yep, because then the rater sees something. There was one case I was talking with Jackie. He had 100%. He was PNT. He was getting SMC. I think it's at SMC-S. I'm not good at the SMCs, but anyways, he was getting more money, and then come to find out his eating disorder. I'm rated for an eating disorder. That's the only one under mental health that can be rated separately. Was at 60%, and he should have been 0. So guess what happened? He lost the 60, went to 0, but he still kept his 100 because he was still overall 100. But he lost that SMC pay he was getting. Was he getting it rightfully so? No. But again, I know we all want to get what we deserve, and that's up to every veteran. But at some point, like I have so many more disabilities I could be filing for, but I'm leaving them alone. It's just, so. But yeah, the answer to Chris's question was yes.
Okay, this next one's from Miss Erica Garcia. Best advice for a mental health exam. She's a bit nervous. I would just say to be honest. Tell them about your bad.
Yeah. So, Erica, I'm not sure what it's about. Go ahead.
Do we have the DBQ for those? Are there certain DBQs for those?
Well, depending on which one she filed for, if she filed for the PTSD due to personal trauma, sexual assault, that would be A. That would be 0781A. But Erica, going back to it, what I would tell you was exactly what Ashley, be honest, be open, do not hold any emotions back. This is your opportunity to talk to the doctor about what's going on, what's been going on. They're going to ask a lot of personal questions in some cases. They're going to go back to childhood. They're going to go back to, when you were in the military, which you are now as an adult, and so just be open, be honest, and
tell them how your worst day is. Today may be a good day for you. And when they ask you, how are you? Say, well, today I'm fair, but my worst day, let me tell you what it's like. Be sure and tell them if there is a difference in your personality after you got home from the military as opposed to before you went in. Tell them how it affects your everyday life.
You also may be asked about the trauma. Some examiners want to know, and
if
some
it's a
examiners don't.
If it's a PTSD,
Yep.
and be willing to put it out there. It's not going anywhere farther than the examiner and the rater.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to talk about it.
Yep.
You gotta
And Eric-
you gotta tell them what's bothering you. I mean, that's gonna happen. So
Yep.
just be prepared to relive it, get it out there, and then let it go.
And
Take
Erica, if this is regarding MST, I'm an MST survivor myself, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions beforehand. I've been through it, so I know. I also had to go through my eating disorder, so definitely reach out if you need any guidance. I know what you're going through, so.
I am too.
Yep, she is too.
All right. Well, it looks like we've.
Nope, we got two more.
Okay, you got it. You got them, Blake. I missed them.
Yeah, one from Daryl L.
Okay.
That, hang on, let me find it. Says that wants to know if the VA basically will provide him a travel CPAP because he's diagnosed with yeah. Can I get or how do I get a travel CPAP from VA since I have service connected OSA?
Never heard of a travel one.
They're a small one. My guess is that no, the VA probably won't provide you with both a home unit and a travel unit. That's something that you would have to ask Durable Medical Goods, whoever's providing your CPAP, how to go about getting it. I wouldn't.
I wonder, could he get it if he's working? Like, could he tell his doctor like he travels for work and
he could tell his doctor that, whether the VA or not will
Right.
honor that or not.
Ask your doctor, Daryl. That's all. I mean, that's the best case scenario. Ask your doctor if you already have one at home, like Blake is saying you need one for traveling. I would definitely at least ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. You know, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah, they can't
Right.
take away your birthday.
Right.
And the other one, Chris, if you'll go up to 7:17 p.m., you'll find one from Dennis Wheatcamp. Says, I've never spoke to anyone about my mental issues. Would it be best to get started at a VA clinic? Oh, I think we did do that one.
Yeah, we did do that one.
We did. Mhm.
Yeah, we got that one. Yep. I think we got one from Ron. There it is.
Okay, so Mr. Ron, I was just awarded erectile dysfunction for SMC-K.
SMC-K.
Oh, okay.
That's cute.
If we're in service, emergency circumcision and secondary conditions for anxiety, sleep apnea deferred. What do you think?
I was just awarded erectile dysfunction for SMC-K for in-service emergency circumcision and secondary conditions for anxiety, sleep apnea deferred. I'm not understanding the question.
What do we think about the sleep apnea being deferred?
Okay.
The question is, was the sleep apnea, was it a primary claim, a secondary claim? And if secondary, what was it claimed secondary to?
I'm almost positive the apnea was deferred to the secondary condition for anxiety and sleep. So I'm wondering if he was rated for mental health recently. Because he just said he got the SMC.
He said he was recently secondary conditions of anxiety. So I'm guessing the sleep apnea, he's trying to get secondary to sleep.
Also secondary to chronic kidney disease.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going back to the first one. Ron, are you saying that you filed your mental health secondary to something? And obviously the apnea is deferred. I'm assuming the sleep apnea was secondary as well. I'm a little lost on I'm sorry. I want to help you, but I don't understand the question. I get the erectile dysfunction is taken care of, but it sounds like he's got secondary conditions for anxiety, sleep apnea, Deferred. It sounds like his mental health and his sleep apnea were deferred as secondary. So can
Possible.
you, yeah, if you can quickly answer that. Circumcised was on, yeah, we're past that one.
Well, that one we got.
Yeah, we got that one, Ron. You're rated for that. I want to know, are you stating that your mental health and sleep apnea are secondary deferred to?
And the one thing I will say about the erectile dysfunction, it will always be 0%,
Mm-hmm.
and they will so you won't be able to get a but you do get the SMK for the SMC-K for that.
Yeah. And yes, okay. So what did you file mental health and sleep apnea secondary to? What primary? That would be my first question. What did you file mental health and sleep apnea secondary to that they're deferred right now? What's the primary? Anxiety due to penile deformity. Okay. All right. So I think he's going with this. He's filed somatic symptom disorder, which is SSD, for maybe chronic pain, mental anguish due to his penile deformity.
That's gonna be that's gonna be a really
I don't say sleep apnea.
hard one to connect. Sleep apnea for sure is not gonna happen, I don't think.
No.
The anxiety issues, there are literally millions of men out there who are circumcised in their as adults. Some emergently, some for personal reasons, and so the anxiety due to an emergency circumcision, it's not like you're going to have another one.
Well, and he also has secondary to chronic kidney disease. He mentioned that in the comments section too.
Also, the gout was deferred.
Also, okay, we're getting pieces here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's recap here. Ron, why don't you do this? Chris, pop up the email. Why don't you email me, Ron, with everything that you have filed and that is either deferred, what's going on. Give me a little bit more information, and I will get with Blake and we'll discuss it for you. That way we're not sitting here trying to guess while you're trying to answer little bits and pieces. So go ahead, email me. Tell me what's going on right now. We understand about the erectile dysfunction, but tell me what you filed secondary to primary. Give us a little bit more information, and then I'll be happy to get back to you. Yes, I understand they're deferred, but I want all four are deferred. So I'm assuming what he's saying is all four are deferred. He's filed them all secondary, including the chronic kidney disease to this erectile penile deformity.
Yeah, and that doesn't.
Yeah, if that's
I would have to know a lot more to make any kind of.
Yeah. So if you could, Ron, take the time, email me, and I'll definitely get back to you in the email for sure.
And tell us in that email, tell us why you think this is secondary to your primary.
Yes. And Elizabeth, I see that Chris shouted out to you what SMC-K is, but that is for basically a loss of a creative organ, loss of use. So such as ED or FSAD for a female. Women have it too.
SMK stands for Special Monthly Compensation. And
the letter
is a schedule, and I have to look them up every time.
Every time.
There's C. Is it C or does it start at A?
I don't know. There's so many of them.
16 of them all together, and they each have a different.
But Elizabeth, look up special monthly compensation, and it will tell you. You could see the whole list of all of them because there's so many different ones. And then you've got the halves. You've got L half and R half and T half. I mean, there's so many of them, but that's what it is. It's special monthly compensation. But the one we're talking about on this show tonight is the K, which has to do with the loss of a creative organ.
And it's basically an extra $128 a month.
It is. Yep. That's on top of your VA compensation.
All right, guys. Well, we're winding down here. We're
Yeet.
kind of running out of questions. We're getting up
We
in
got-
an hour and 20
we
minutes.
got
I saw one more from
You saw
one more?
Mr. Jeff.
Jeff B.
Where?
Jeff. Oh,
If I pass away due to a rated diagnosis, can my spouse still receive money once I'm gone?
Yes.
ooh.
If it's a rated condition, yes, they can get DIC.
I thought you had to be 100% for 10 years.
No.
So
If you pass away from a rated condition, you can get it. If you are 100% for 10 years, you can also get it.
and it
even
has
if
to be
it's
on the
not.
death certificate, right?
Yeah, if you've been rated 100% for 10 years, anything you pass away
Yes.
from, they can get DIC.
That's
But-
where I was getting mixed
But
up. Yeah.
if you get if you have asthma and you die from the asthma, then and that's rated at 50% or
10
whatever
years.
under 10 years, then yes, you will still get DIC. DIC is about a third of what you would get normally.
Yep. So just keep that in mind for your spouse. It's about a third of what the compensation is, because a lot of people don't realize when the veteran dies, the compensation dies with them. So, and remember, we get paid in the rears, so we get paid while we're living. So
you need to die on the first of the month to get paid for last month.
alrighty then. Yeah, way to end the show. Well, and my birthday's Sunday, so
Go
yay.
Chiefs. Yeah.
No, I want to talk about my birthday. Screw the Chiefs.
And Mr. Ron needs the email again.
Oh, can you pop it up, honey? Sugar. Sweetums.
So, guys,
There it is.
that's the email we have right there. All right. VACVHV@gmail.com. That'll go to Stephanie. Stephanie will part out that information to whoever needs to see it. They'll get back to you with a consolidated answer from all our admins,
Yes.
moderators.
Thanks,
Again,
guys.
Facebook group. Join that group. There's a lot of files that are available, DBQs, the whole cream, clothing allowance list is on there. So definitely join that Facebook group page. And then we got more comments coming on here. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's
She's
nice.
gonna be 29 again.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm getting old.
It's actually on the 19th. It's Sunday. So if you want to
It's
drop her
Sunday.
a line, that's fine.
But y'all come check us out again.
This is the 23rd anniversary of her 29th birthday.
Yeah. Say hi to Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hey to Andy.
But
Make
yeah,
sure you
come-
subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys.
Yes,
Click
please.
the subscribe button. You'll get updates on the videos. Like I said, Steph's got another video coming out for what, Steph?
IMO Nexus, and watch the videos. They help us get watch hours. We've already got the subscription side. We've met that part. We need people to watch videos, so share those videos, please.
Tell
The
your
live really
friends.
help. Yep, tell your friends.
Tell your battle buddies.
Yes, and our next one will be March 1st. Yep, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
And guys, if we haven't answered your questions or you need more information, email us. Also, there's a capability for Steph to do a consult with you, which is an hour-long consult by video. Or if you guys want to do that to get some very specific, here's what you do, here's how you do this, do that. You can email her. She'll set those up as well to
And
give
it
you all the
doesn't
information you need.
It doesn't hurt to email us your questions ahead of time.
Yep,
'Cause we
that's
often
a good
talk,
idea.
we often
Yeah.
talk ahead of time, and that
Like
way
that.
we can send back these little, was this secondary to questions, and we don't spend a lot of time passing it back and forth.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we'll see everybody in a couple weeks.
2 weeks, guys. We'll see you again.
Over and out.
All right. Say
Bye,
good night.
bye, guys. Thanks again.
Say bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Good
Bye.
night, y'all.